So back in February 2026, the world's entire energy supply was pushed right to the edge of a cliff. This is the story of how one of the most critical shipping lanes on the entire planet brought the global economy to its knees, leading to an oil price that absolutely shattered modern records. Let's break down exactly how it all went down.
By early March 2026, this was the number that had everyone holding their breath. From finance ministers and skyscrapers to you and me at the gas pump. Brent crude futures were trading near $120 a barrel, and they were on a violent surge toward a peak of $126. Now, this wasn't just a price spike, this was a market in an absolute uncontrolled freefall.
Right, so the big question is, how did we get here? How on earth did this one narrow stretch of water, the Strait of Hormuz, become the dead center of a full-blown global crisis? Well, to really understand that, we've got to rewind and go right back to the beginning.
It all kicked off with a military operation. Its name was Operation Epic Fury, a name that, believe me, would soon become synonymous with the largest supply disruption in modern history. This was the single event, the trigger, that set everything else in motion.
And the escalation was incredibly fast. Blink and you'll miss it fast. On February 28th, joint U.S.-Israeli airstrikes hit Iran, and the supreme leader was killed. Iran's response was immediate. Its Revolutionary Guard Corps just said, nope, passage through the Strait of Hormuz is prohibited. And get this, within just 72 hours, insurance premiums for tankers skyrocketed, making it too expensive to even try. So commercial traffic just stopped. The top was literally turned off.
And look, this wasn't just some over-the-top headline. The head of the International Energy Agency, the IEA, quickly came out with this chilling statement. This wasn't just another bump in the road for the market. This was an unprecedented threat to the world's energy and, as we're about to see, its food supplies.
And the impact was instantaneous. A shockwave just ripped through global markets, completely shattering all the predictions and sending prices for pretty much all essential goods spiraling out of control. Let's really dig into the numbers.
Okay, just take a look at this because the visual is really stunning. You've got oil on the left, natural gas on the right. See those nice, calm, steady yellow lines? That's what all the experts thought was going to happen. And then look at the blue lines. That violent vertical spike is what actually happened in March. That right there is a picture of pure market panic.
Over in Europe, the central bank was running the numbers, and it came up with two possibilities. The first they called the adverse scenario, where gas prices jumped 73%. Pretty bad, right? But then there was the severe scenario, a catastrophic 109% increase. We're not talking about a simple price hike anymore. This was a fundamental threat to Europe's entire energy stability.
So, the thing you really have to wrap your head around is the speed. In just over a week, crude oil didn't just climb, it exploded. It smashed right through the $100 barrier and just kept on going, peaking near that infamous $126 a barrel mark. A price that high sends tremors through every single part of the global economy.
But this story is so much bigger than just oil and gas prices. The closure of the Strait of Hormuz, it's like a vital artery for the world was suddenly clamped shut. And the cascading effects, the ripple effects, they were felt absolutely everywhere. And this chart really just spells out why it was such a disaster. Just look at these numbers from the UN. A quarter of the world's seaborne oil, gone. Almost a third of its LPG, gone. A fifth of its LNG, gone. And this one's a real shocker. A full one-third of all seaborne fertilizers. All of it just wiped off the global market, overnight. And the consequences were immediate. That fertilizer disruption? Bam, you've got a food security crisis. Industries, now starved of essential chemicals, started adding massive surcharges to their prices. Shipping got rerouted the long, expensive way around Africa. And then you have these critical materials like sulfur, which you need for everything from batteries to copper. Nearly half the global supply just vanished. And here's what this huge global crisis actually felt like for people on the ground. In places like Pakistan and the Philippines, they actually mandated 4-day work weeks just to save fuel. In California, gas prices blew past $5 a gallon. And for a country like India, which gets over 80% of its cooking gas through that strait, well, they were plunged into a severe energy emergency. But crisis has a funny way of forcing innovation. And faced with this complete disruption, a powerful pivot toward new technology started to happen, and fast. It was all driven by one need that was now painfully, glaringly obvious: energy independence. A key piece of tech that suddenly got a lot of attention was the AI-managed microgrid. The easiest way to think of it is as a smart local energy island. It can connect to the main grid, sure, but the really cool part is that it can also disconnect and run completely on its own. That means the power stays on, even if there's a crisis happening half a world away.
So what makes these microgrids so smart? Well, it's a specialized AI called the TD3 algorithm. Now, researchers had been working on this for a while, but the 2026 crisis, that became its ultimate real-world proving ground.
So here's basically how it works, in 3 simple steps. First, the AI is constantly taking in data. How much solar and wind power are we getting right now, and how much energy are people using? Second, it uses some really powerful AI to predict what's coming next. Finally, based on those predictions, it figures out the absolute smartest way to send power where it's needed, to keep things running smoothly, all without a single drop of diesel or a connection to that volatile global grid.
Ultimately, what that $126 barrel of oil did was completely rewrite the rules of energy economics. All of a sudden, investing long-term in solar and wind didn't just seem like the responsible thing to do, it seemed like the only sane financial choice when compared to the wild swings of fossil fuels. This crisis didn't just make the case for renewables, it made it undeniable.
So when you put all these pieces together, the military action, the market chaos, and the incredible technological response, you start to see a new story taking shape, a post-oil narrative for the 21st century.
And that leaves us with one critical question. The 2026 crisis revealed, in no uncertain terms, that being dependent on a handful of little geographic choke points is a profound vulnerability. It suggests that in the future, a nation's security might not be measured by its military might, but by its ability to power itself. So, is true energy independence the ultimate form of security? That's the question this crisis has forced all of us to confront.